Hey, Casey Rae here. So I realize I haven't had any sort of sit down talk with you guys video in quite some time. And I was reading this old, I call it the Thrive book. Basically it was just like a makeshift bullet journal that I had started the beginning of last year, I believe. Obviously, I had given up this bullet journaling thing a long time ago. I'm just not that organized, but I wrote something in here and I wanted to share it with you guys because it's really telling about the point of my life that I was in. And I don't know, I just thought it would be interesting to share kind of the mindset that I had at that time. So also I'm thinking that it was probably about this time last year because right before I wrote it I had put November 2016 goals, and I will show you what my goals were. I had nothing. I didn't write anything down. So that in itself is pretty telling. So yeah, I'm just going to read this to you just because I thought it was worth sharing, just so that you can see the progress or lack thereof. I don't know. I just wanted to share it. So, do you ever feel like you're on the cusp of greatness? That there's something hanging there in the very close distance, but you can't quite reach it, and you can't really put your finger on what it even is? Then there's the internal struggle of not wanting to seek gain for selfish reasons. Let's not make this about you, Casey. But the phrase, everyone has a purpose or a calling, it terrifies me. Shouldn't I know what mine is by now? I struggle with having a million half ideas, no whole ideas, a lot of semi-know-how with no complete direction. A fear of leaping into any one thing for fear that it's not the thing, so I remain still. And standing still is really just moving backwards because everyone around you is pursuing and persevering, it seems. But that's the time we live in. It's easy to think everyone has it all figured out when you have rose-colored peepholes to look through scrolling through your newsfeed every morning. So you ask yourself, am I making the most of my time here? I was having a conversation with friends the other day and I said, there's got to be a name for this. I'm pretty sure it's normal. Well, I received my answer a few days later, reading a blog post that mentioned the phrase quarter-life crisis. Turns out it is a thing, I'm not unique, and this is in fact quite normal. So what do I do with this newfound information, this diagnosis for lack of a better word? Well, knowing I'm not insane helps, and knowing that there is in fact a light coming doesn't hurt either. Because ultimately you get through it, and most likely you will have grown and learned something about yourself. And while learning about yourself, you will have learned about others too. Because after all, the impact that you have in this life is in direct correlation with the relationships that you make. It's the bonds that you create with people and the good that you put into the world that leads to a legacy. Feeling as if you're enough isn't always easy. Telling someone else you know that they're enough can be less easy. But it's so important. Interrupting the monotony by finding the bright spots and the light in the day-to-day, seeking opportunities to insert a little light into someone else's day. This is how I imagine I'll get through this slump. By stepping outside of my own selfish mind for a few moments and looking at all the things that I can be grateful for. As cliche as it sounds, we only get one shot at this life. It's understandable to feel overwhelmed with the how, the why, and the whens. I'm going to instead try to focus on the who's. Who can I help? Who can I teach? Who needs their day brightened? And I have faith that in the end, it will lead to true greatness. So yeah, I don't really have any elaborations on that. I just really wanted to share it with you guys. If you're going through something really similar, just know that you're not alone. It's super normal to feel lost, but I do really believe that the way to get through that is the relationships and the love and the positivity that you put out there. I'm not saying that I figured that out that I'm like perfect at it. I'm very much not perfect at it. And it's a work in progress every single day. It's making the conscious effort to choose to see things in a positive light when it's not so positive all the time. It's choosing to not turn blessings into burdens. It's choosing to rely on God and something outside of yourself, something above you, and not relying on yourself and surrendering to something greater than yourself. All of these things are conscious decisions that you have to make every single day, and it's hard, but it's human and it's real. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement and to show you that in just a short amount of time, in a year, I have a lot more clarity, and you will too. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends if they need a little bit of encouragement too. You're my favorites. Peace and love.